I can taste your words. I can taste your I can taste your words. I can taste your I can taste your words. I can taste your I can taste your words. I can taste
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Katie McManus, business strategist and money mindset coach, coming to you live on the Facebooks, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. That is you dreaming bigger. And I know that sounds so corny, so corny. But here's the thing. I learned this from a very, very, very early age. A dream is a wish your heart makes. If you're a Cinderella girly or fella like I am, then you know that song very well. Fun fact about me, when I was like a little kid, like 2 years old, I used to wash the floor constantly because that's the part of Cinderella that I was like, that I can emulate that in my day-to-day life. And I just basically would get a bowl of water and a roll of paper towels. And I guess my parents' kitchen floor was just always wet. It wasn't clean. It was just wet because they weren't giving me soap. Anyway, but a dream without a plan is just a dream. It's never going to happen. I'm sorry, Cinderella. Like, it happened for her. She had a fairy godmother. The rest of us do not have a fairy godmother. And so it's so important for me in my life and with my clients and with you, the folks in my world, to push everyone to seek out what that bigger dream is and to actually believe that it's possible for them. Okay. So whatever that dream is for you, I like, even if it makes you sound like you're crazy, even if it makes you sound like you are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like you are delulu in all the worst ways, unless there is like a physical impediment to you actually doing it. Say you want to be an NBA basketball player and you're only like, 4'9", probably not going to happen. But like, maybe you could do something in basketball. Maybe that could be your career. There are so many ways to go after your dreams. And there's something that happens for a lot of folks, because I think we have dreams throughout our lives, but our dreams change. And whenever our dreams change, it throws us through this like mind fuckery loop. And it makes us feel like we're just lost and wandering. We can't figure out what the next thing is in our life. Hi, Shaynor, and hi, Abby. Welcome. So I wanted to share a little bit about how my dreams have changed throughout my life, and what I like to do and what I urge my clients to do when they're in that phase of like, they're kind of over what the previous dream was. Maybe they accomplished it or they started working towards it and they're like, not this. I'm not into this. And how do you find what that next thing is if you're not sure what it is, right? So when I was in my early 20s, I went to France for 6 months to study French because I got tired of like trying to learn French in school. And while I was there was this wine bar that had this really, really good looking bartender. And I wish I were like coming out. I wish I had a story that was way more sophisticated than this, but no, I just thought this guy was hot. And I convinced my friends to go to this wine bar in Montpellier like 3 times a week. And we'd go. And he was so charming. And of course, he'd be like, taste this, taste this, taste this. And we were like, oh, yeah, this is incredible. Thank you. Merci. And honestly, like, that's where my love of wine came from this guy. I don't even know his name, honestly. He was very good looking. I don't know if he owned the store or if he just worked there. But anyway, we'll figure that out sometime when we want to do a deep dive and get stalkery. But anyway, came back to the States, went back to school, and realized that like my dream of becoming a teacher wasn't really going to be the thing that I wanted to do. I had some feedback from a professor who's like, we don't make a lot of money. And then she was telling me about how competitive it is and like how I have so many interests that, it didn't really make sense for me to go all in on becoming like a professor because for like the chances of me succeeding and getting a tenure track job were very low. Let's just say that. So anyway, then I just started casting around. I'm like, well, what else do I like? And literally I did a Google search. I did a Google search of all the things that I was interested in. And one of those things was wine. And I looked up careers in wine. And there was winemaking, which was an option. But I suck at chemistry. I suck at science. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't know anything about growing stuff beyond like my house plants, like this guy I've kept alive. Actually, I haven't. That's a lie. My sister gave me this for Christmas. So she kept it alive, and I have to keep it alive going forward. But anyway, I have other plants I've kept alive. But I've never thought about winemaking, and it just didn't appeal. So the other job that came up was sommelier. And the sommelier, if you've ever been to like a fine dining restaurant, is the person who manages the wine program. And so historically, they're the ones with like the stupid little like silver cup that they hang around their neck. They don't do that anymore. But they're the ones that like help you decide which bottle you should order. And they go into the cellar and they find something really special for you. And then they do a whole to-do and all the stuff. So I thought, okay, well, that sounds really interesting. I like wine. I like talking to people. I've worked in restaurants, during the summer. I could be a sommelier. And so I looked it up and I looked at like what the career track was like and like what the pay might be like. And I was like, cool. Within 20 minutes, I had applied to a program. And by the next day, it wasn't like a hard program to get into. By the next day, I'd been accepted and I made a plan to just move to California and become a sommelier. And so I did. And I moved and I did this 3-month intensive program where I became a certified sommelier. And if you don't know anything about sommeliership, there are 4 levels in the Court of Master Sommeliers. So there's intro, certified, which, second level, advanced, which is really hard. And then there's the Master Sommelier level. And I think at the time, there were only like 161 Master Sommeliers in the world. Okay. So anyway, so I passed my certified sommelier exam. I met someone who's also in the wine world. And I started getting organized to study for the advanced exam. Now, there was no program for this. So you had to do self-study and you had to do like tasting groups, which is not as fun as it sounds like. It's not like you're sitting around getting drunk with a bunch of people. Like you're literally tasting and spitting it out and then trying to figure out what it was. Like, what are the tasting notes? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of like brain power that you're not used to using. Anyway, and I was working in restaurants and I did this for about 2 years and there were parts that I really liked. But for the most part, I just kept bumping into this feeling of like, ew, not this. Not this. I'm not digging this part. I'm not digging this part. And I don't like this part of the work. And it took me a little while, but I realized over time that it just was not where I wanted to be. And I had no idea what I wanted to do next. At the same time, the relationship with the fella who was in wine fell apart. And I just decided, like, let's burn this down. Let's change everything. So I quit my job. I moved out of the house we lived in together, broke up with him, completely shifted everything. And I just gave myself 6 months to try anything and everything. So I did sales for a video production company. I worked at Equinox Fitness at the front desk because I needed a free gym membership, honestly. I taught knitting. I acted. I modeled. The ultimate role I ever got was in the HBO show Looking. I was a featured extra. I was one of the bridesmaids in their wedding scene in the 7th episode of the first season. I think someone watched it and they clocked it. There's like 9 seconds of this one episode where I'm like identifiable throughout the episode. I nannied. I did so many things, and I ended up getting a job at Equinox. They asked me to do sales for them, and then I did that for a couple of years. And then again, like I just kind of. And the point is that I tried everything. I gave myself a chance at everything. I just got out there and got active. I just did stuff, and realized, okay, I like this about this, but I don't like it overall. So that was acting, modeling. I love knitting, but that's not something you can make a career out of. At least it wasn't at the time. And yeah. And then like my life just kind of opened up opportunities to me because I was taking action. And then I got into sales, and then I was in sales for fitness, and then I was in sales for the solar industry, and then for for internet security. And I can remember my own resume. Absolutely. And all throughout, like I had coaches all throughout, like the whole time I had coaches, and I kept like experiencing like, this is not it, hiring a coach, like having them coach me through the fear of leaving the thing that I was really familiar with to go to something that I was less familiar with. And all the while, I'm like, I want to do what you do. I don't want to do what I'm doing. I want to do what you do. And I feel like I just have to suffer through like another 15 years of this career before I can do what you do and be taken seriously. Cause I was in my 20s. And then I got into a car accident, and I had a mild traumatic brain injury, which I've recovered from, thank God. But I realized that it was now or never. There was a chance that I could have died in that moment. And if I just kept putting off this dream that I had of like being a coach, being able to help people, it was never going to happen. And so I made it happen. And here I am. And I'm actually, next month is my 7th year anniversary of being a coach, of running a coaching business. So I'm super excited about that. But here's the thing. In my business, my dream has changed numerous times. It will continue to change numerous times. So when you're realizing that the dream that you've been so set on, either you've reached it and you're like, okay, well, what next? Or you're disillusioned by it. Like there's something about it that just does not land for you anymore. Like the first step is giving yourself permission to change your mind about it. The first step is like, give yourself the grace to be like, no, I'm done here. Don't want this anymore. Quitting is something that is so shame-filled in our society. Quitting seems like something that only quitters do, right? Like being a quitter is a bad thing. Being a quitter is something that like no one wants to own up to. But actually, like learning when to quit is the only way that you're going to live a life without regret, right? So you have to give yourself permission to quit the thing, to be like, I'm done here. This is no longer the thing. The next thing, and I cannot recommend this book enough, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And if you're not familiar who she is, she got really famous because she wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love. And you can have your feelings about that book. You can like it, hate it. I highly recommend Big Magic because it's about the process of doing art, of doing the work. And one of the stories that she talks about is that like she had this idea for a book and she was working on it. And then she had to step away from it for a really long time. Then she came back to it and it just kind of lost its juice for her. She wasn't into it anymore. It just wasn't flowing out of her. And she realized that this book like was no longer an idea that she wanted to run with, but she didn't know what she wanted to do next. She didn't know what she wanted to write next. And so she just kind of cast around for like, well, what should I do? What have I always wanted to do? And the answer was gardening. She'd always wanted to do gardening and she'd never done it. And so she just got into gardening. And throughout gardening, she got more and more into it. And she started going to like these old seed libraries that had not organic, what's the term? Heirloom seeds of all these different plants. And she started like researching them and like looking at art of plants and all the stuff. And it was, in the midst of all this, that she got the idea for her next book. And what I love about this story is that there was action. She was putting herself into something that she was curious about, and it led to where she needed to be next. Okay. She just let her interest carry her to the next thing that was going to be her dream, the next book idea. And essentially that's what I did. That's what I did when I burned down my life and quit wine, and then not quit wine like drinking, but quit being a sommelier. And decided to give myself permission to just do whatever it was that I wanted. It gave me permission. It opened up all these opportunities for me, but it gave me permission to just like let my interests carry me. So if you're in this position right now where you don't know what your next dream is, then like full permission to just go and try stuff. And you don't have to burn down your life to do it. Okay. That's how I did it. That's my MO. It doesn't have to be yours. Right. The other thing is sometimes when you're in this midst of like shifting from this was my dream, it's no longer my dream. Now this is my dream. You don't necessarily have to quit things, but you do have to take a step back. You do have to give yourself some time, some air to be able to process it and really imagine what it is that you're going to do next. So if you're trying, in the process of identifying what this next big dream is, you have to quit some smaller stuff. You have to step back on some obligations. You have to give yourself that time to think, that time to process. Full disclosure, I'm kind of in this mode right now in reimagining what my dream is for my business. Because full transparency, when I started my coaching business, I wanted to be like the leading dating coach for men. And of course, we all know that story. Hi, LinkedIn user. Hello. Your name's not showing. I think it's your privacy settings. So tell me who you are if you want to. But hello, welcome. So great to have you. But anyway, so I wanted to be like, on Oprah. I wanted to be like the person. And then I got virtually no male clients. I got like all female clients. I was like, okay, so dating coach for women. And then I had to switch into leadership coaching and executive coaching because all of my female dating coaching clients wanted executive coaching because that's what they were actually struggling with. And then all my friends started coming to me asking me how I was getting clients and how I was building my business and this and that and the other thing. So I went from wanting to be like on Oprah for being a dating coach. And then I went to, okay, I'll be on Oprah for being a dating coach for women. And then I went to, all right, maybe I won't be on Oprah. Maybe I'll be in Forbes for being an executive coach. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm going to be a business coach. Maybe I could be the next Marie Forleo. Maybe I could be a Ramit Sethi. Maybe I could, become this like business person that everyone looks up to and that they take your course and then they become super successful. Well, I've been doing this for a few years now. And every time I try to imagine that anonymous, like business course kind of model, I get the heebie-jeebies. I can't imagine not being able to interact with my clients. I can't imagine not being able to answer questions, not understanding what's going on for them. Whenever I think through how would I create a course around like, here's the step-by-step model that works for everyone. Like, I know that won't work because nothing works for everyone. Okay. The one size fits all stuff, like, no, you have to be a very particular body size for a one size fits everyone size to fit you. All right. And building your business is so much more complex. And I couldn't imagine anymore building my business in that way. So now I have this new dream and I'm not releasing all the details yet. Still working it out. I'm still in this this in between limbo space where I'm giving myself like breathing room and time to think it through. But here's the thing. You have full permission to go after your dream. It doesn't matter how wild it is. It doesn't matter how ambitious it is. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how silly it is. You have full permission. Okay. The only thing that holds you up is you. Right. And here are a few ways that we hold ourselves up. We get busy. We're too busy. Oh no, well, this is the plan. I'm just like working the plan. Like I'm too busy to change to a new plan. Bullshit. You have complete control over things. Of course, that's a very privileged thing to say as a single white woman who doesn't have kids. I'm not beholden to miniature humans. However, we all have some choice. Okay. Maybe it's not going to be a big change. Maybe it's not going to be a fast change. But there are little choices you can make in refocusing. Okay. So getting busy is one of the ways that we prevent ourselves from going after our dreams. The other way that we prevent ourselves from going after our dreams is we convince ourselves that it's just not possible for us. That's just too big. It's too big and I don't know how and I don't have the resources and blah, 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 blah. Babes, you can get the resources. Okay. You know how like when you think of doing something and it's not something you've ever done before and you start making this like laundry list of like all the reasons why you can't do it. Okay. Here's a little activity for you. That laundry list, I want you to go through it with a red marker, a blue marker, and a black pen. Okay. With your red marker, I want you to highlight the stuff that's just like ludicrous fears that are never going to happen. Right. So, like, maybe you want to go to Antarctica and you're like, okay, well, what if I get attacked by a killer whale? Okay. Well, it's very unlikely to happen. Okay. So you cross that crazy shit out. Okay. The blue marker is what you're going to use to highlight or underline the resources that you're going to require to do the thing. Okay. So say you want to start a business and you're like, okay, well, I want to start a bakery, right? And bakeries, because it is a location-based business and you're going to need a lot of supplies and you're going to have to, have a lot of like front-loaded costs. You're going to need some money. You're going to need some capital, right? So instead of like that being a big hurdle to you getting started, it's just a thing that you need to get. It's just something on the shopping list, essentially, right? It's going to take some time. Okay. It's going to take some bravery to go and ask for a loan or to, face your finances and like see where you can scale back so you can start saving for it. There are lots of ways you can do it, but it is just a grocery item. It is just something on the list that you need, right? So you just figure those things out and you set those aside. Those are all the things that you need to figure out the resources, right? And finally, I want you to go through with the black pen and I want you to circle the things that you need to do. All the things that you're going to need to do this thing. All right. Now it might be, I don't know what to do, so I need to hire someone to help me, right? So hello, like if you're starting a business where you want to offer an intellectual service like coaching or consulting or legal work or copywriting, that's what I do. So if you don't know where to get started and that's your big dream, come and talk to me. Okay. I help my clients go from absolute zero with no clients to go to multiple 6 figures, if not 7 figures. Not overnight, takes time, but I do it with my clients so that they get to live the life that they want to live, not burn themselves out in the process. So if you don't know what you need to do, the first step is to get help. If you know what you need to do, like step by step and you're just not doing it, you are being the biggest weenie, the biggest weenie. Like, I need to be sending you a weenie costume because you're being a weenie. If you know exactly what you need to be doing and you're just not doing it, we need to have a stern conversation because you're the only reason you're not going where you want to go. And that's not okay with me. And I hope that's not okay with you either. But here's your permission to dream bigger. Here's your permission to just think outside the box. Think of like what makes you happy. And to also look back on your career and see what parts of the work that you've done before has made you happy, right? So one of the feelings that I always had throughout my career was that I was just collecting ingredients for a cake and I had no idea what kind of cake I would be baking. But like I'd get sales experience. I'd be like, cool, this is important, but I don't know what to do with this. And then I get like customer service and, skills and I'm like, cool, like this will be useful someday. And then I learned how to teach knitting to a room of 10 people where I had to teach in a bunch of different ways to a bunch of different learning types. And I'm like, awesome. Like that, I don't know how this is going to be useful. Miraculously, all the things that I loved about all those jobs, I've managed to create a whole business around, right? Because I have to sell my work, right? And then I get to teach my clients how to sell their work. And in teaching, I have to teach them based on their learning style, right? So I get to like use that knitting teacher experience. Customer service, like there's a lot of that in running a business. Writing, I did a lot of writing through a lot of my jobs, and I get to do that through a lot of my content. In high school, I was on Harvard High School's News, Sports, Weather, and More, which was a weekly news show that we did. Like, it was not good. It was not good. It was just basically a bunch of teenagers giggling and using the green screen inappropriately. Not in a gross way, but just like in a stupid way. But anyway, that, has worked out here. I did improv, that helped. Acting, that also helped. It's all the doing. It's all the action taking, all the curiosity following that really led me to collect all the skills that I needed to do to be able to pursue my dream now. If I had skipped any one of those steps, I don't think I'd be able to do what I do now. Right. And I bet it's probably the same for you. So, whatever it is that you want, or if you're just in that phase of, I just don't want this, permission. You have my permission. You have your own permission to quit it, walk away, give yourself space, try stuff, follow your curiosity, and go after the thing you want the most. All right. I am going to be going live tomorrow, talking about your favorite self and how you use it to get more stuff done and be more productive without shaming yourself and feeling shitty all the time. Because that seems to be just the modus operandi of how we run our lives and do work, which is bullshit. So I will be going live doing that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for being here tonight. And if you have any questions, or if there are any big dreams that you just need to hear from someone else, if it's possible or not, then just shoot me a DM. You know where to find me. All right. Everyone on the Facebooks, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and in Instagram, thank you so much for being here. I hope you found this useful. And I cannot wait to be going live with you tomorrow. All right. I'm Katie McManus, business strategist and money mindset coach. Thank you again, and good night.